these four great individuals just showed the world what we can do when we truly put our minds to it, and what we're capable of doing when we, as President Kennedy said, we don't do things because they're easy, we do things, great things, because we're hard. This is the power of what they just did and what happened even then. When President Trump came then in 2020, actually the launch was called off with 15 seconds to go. He immediately turned to then NASA Administrator Bridenstine and said, when are we going again? And came back the next week. And in the meantime, in between that time, sadly and tragically, George Floyd was killed and the nation erupted in unrest. But in the middle of that unrest, when we went for that second launch, watching those two colonels go back up into space from American soil, the entire country stopped and paused and came together and cheered those two colonels on. And that is what I love about the space program, and that it unifies us. There are no partisans in space. Heck, I think as you'll hear tonight, as they were looking back on the world, we are all fellow human beings, and we all have a shared humanity.
President Trump established the Artemis program that ultimately led to the Artemis II mission, called for America's return to the moon. And in fact, in just 2020, President Trump established the Artemis Accords. Now, the initial framework was an agreement of principles between the United States and 7 other like-minded countries on the responsible exploration of space. Now we're going to wish you happy. I'm just kidding. We were going to do that. Now, under the close interagency partnership, in less than 6 years, there are now 64 nations across 6 continents that have signed on to the Accords, the most recent just yesterday, in fact. And as our alliance has grown, so has our ambition. At our ignition event, NASA, just last month, we outlined opportunities for Artemis Accord signatories to join NASA as we achieve President Trump's vision and establish an enduring presence on the lunar surface.
Well, first and foremost, and I think a lot of you have seen these now.
You know, you asked how it felt, and it wasn't one feeling. For the entire mission, what we saw out the window was changing. And that is one of the unique things. But I will tell you, some of the things that come to mind. I appreciate that you said prayerful. That may be one of the consistents through it, is that I always felt urged to just be grateful for what we were seeing, and to be grateful for what we were eventually going back to. And the other thing was just how blessed we are to have this. And you don't always get to see it from the vantage point that we saw it. Not just the distance, but also how much nothing we went through to get to the far side of the moon. And when you spend a lot of time in the nothing, you realize how amazing it is to sit here, and all of the things in your glass, that fact that it's still liquid is because of this thing we take for granted called the atmosphere. And I wish, you have to trust us. We are ambassadors of the cosmos. That is a miracle that we get to share.
You've been asked 100 times, but we have to hear it again.
We've been training together for 3 years. So if you can imagine, day in and day out, already we're like a family. And then you put us in a small spaceship to experience something that we're not sure our brains ever evolved to experience, and we become best friends solidified for life.
I have a gift for each of you, which is the Make the UN Great Again, otherwise known as MUNGA hats.
Thank you very much.
There we go. There we go.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
There we go.